It's dark in there. Yep. The litter scoop is hanging on the wall close to the water heater. Got it. To open the litter box, press the buttonish thing and rotate the lid open. Count as a buttonish thing? There's no... Is that a buttonish thing? Let's go look. It is a buttonish thing. Buttonish thing. Ha ha! Litter scoop. Oh, boy, kitties, you guys can go 4 days without anybody watching you, but I'm not sure you'll go much longer than that. Oi! It is dangerous to go alone here. Take this. By the way, I adore it when people give me instructions that are super thorough. Oh, I know some people feel pet sitting feel like that is condescending. I am not one of those people. You know, but amazing instructions are amazing. Oh, guys, we need to talk about your hydration. Have a lot of it. A lot of hydration in the kitties. Ew, I put my mouth on that. On a budget. Oh, imagine these kitties might enjoy the box clean sooner. Oh. Litter boxes. Just below the litter line.
who see everything as we have civilization. Civilization is important, and it's something that's taken a long time to create. And the opposite to civilization that we're having to protect civilization against is this kind of barbarism. So that's why you get this sense of like, oh, well, why are you dehumanizing, criminals or people who, they're very much like, well, you've done something that has made you not a civilized person, and therefore you're no longer in our group. So that's that constant back and forth from that perspective is the civilization versus barbarism.
I call that agrarian values because their civilization is very much an agrarian values civilization.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Whereas liberals tend to look at things through a lens of there's an oppressed and there's an oppressor. There's always, I don't know any liberal who does not like to think of their values as, well, we stick up for the little guy. We stick up for the people who can't, who don't have the ability to speak for themselves. That's the oppressed. Well, in order for there to be an oppressed, there has to be then a bad guy who is the oppressor, who's the rich, or, the employer who's not paying enough. But it's still within that same kind of concept that there has to always be a bad guy.
Not necessarily, because they'll include systems.
Well, yes, but in that, the system is still the bad guy. There's always a cause of...
Yeah, I was going to say, there doesn't have to be a single point of...
Right. Where then libertarians seem to come through this lens of there's freedom, and then there's coercion. And the state is then, of course, the biggest form of coercion, because anything that the state does is always backed up by the threat of force. That's why I was catching up on Walking Dead. Negan is not even a subtle analogy for government.
Yeah, libertarians also, so conservatives are scared. Libertarians feel oppressed a lot.
Oh, yeah. Libertarians, it's very much a sense of, even if there isn't a choice that I would not make, who are you to say that you hold the rightful force to tell me I can't make a decision?
There's a difference in liberal culture in between, like, the mass protests on the street, which their job is to raise consciousness. Their job is to make you see it if you didn't already. That's not the solution to the problem. They're not... If you listen, there's no solution proposed. There's nothing actionable there. Black Lives Matter. Yo, in case you missed it.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter.
Just matter. Let's start there.
Yeah.
Let's just start the conversation here.
And then if somebody was like, no, then you're like, yes! Yes, they matter!
I like to joke. You can see it in the way that, like, people talk about issues, too. You can still hear that language of, the conservatives, you'll always hear, that is a big concept of who are we protecting from this evil outside force. And you say, it's all in the language here. Are we really worried about, oh, well, there's, a system and it's unfair and somebody's being kept down that, shouldn't be kept down? Or is it, well, someone's trying to break into our place here?
And say, as soon as you start saying, well, maybe the system needs to be retweaked, that's where conservatives are like, no, my system is sacrosanct. It is what has led us to society. We cannot tweak it. Well, if we tweak it, all anarchy and hell will happen.
I think both sides are push against having what they see as the important parts of their system being tweaked. Like, I've started to joke that you can have, if I could get all of the liberals to just take a deep breath and be able to say the words radical Islamic terrorism, and that would make all the conservatives happy, and they'd be like, aha, you said the words. Only if then we can get all the conservatives to say Black Lives Matter, without saying, well, yes, all lives matter, but that's not what I asked you to say. Then it's this very interesting pushback against, oh, well, those are not acceptable words. I can't say that.
You say my big problem with radical Islamic terrorism is that the religion ain't got jack shit to do with it. It's like calling the KKK radical Christian terrorists. They're not. They're just vandals and terrorists. Like, no. I think the whole lot of them should just be called vandals and terrorists and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Some of the looting is just frustration that is boiled over. Mm-hmm. But some of the looting are people who are like, sweet, I really, really, really want to throw a damn brick through a window. I'm just going to hop on this protest and throw a damn brick through a window. I'm sorry that I will be ignoring the people that are overly frustrated to the point of throwing their own brick through a window, but I think that they, in their saner moments, would also not want the person who's just there for the joyride to get any sort of positive reward.
Yeah. It's interesting because you really, like, when you actually sit down and talk to people I've said this a million times. Nobody thinks that they're doing the wrong thing. No person thinks that they are doing something that is bad and is going to hurt other people. Everybody universally thinks I'm doing what is best for. I mean, at worst, it's going to be I'm doing what's best for me and my people. But still, even then, most people think they're doing what's best for everybody. That maybe within the process of doing what's best for me and my people, then you'll be able to take care of your people better. See, but this is also where you get into like perverse incentives. And that's back to the question we were talking about before.
If you have to incentivize somebody to go get a job and earn an income so that they can live, then there's something bigger and more fucked up about the economy.
Well, I was going to say, that's not even necessarily perverse income.
People should work because they want to feel useful.
And most people will, but then you get into the issue of like, and this is the argument behind a lot of the $15 an hour minimum wage demand, is right now you can make more money by not working and by being able to qualify for your full range of government assistance than you can by having a minimum wage job.
Cool. So then why do people have minimum wage jobs? Why is everybody not sitting back and taking advantage of this thing that already exists?
Because people want to work. I would prefer to work, then I would be able to say, no problem, I have a skill that I'm allowed to demand a living wage for. I don't need government help because I know that I will always have the ability of my skill. And then when you do need help, government assistance isn't the kind of shame issue when you have that ability. Because, okay, I know that I can demand a fair wage for my skill, but right now we've fallen on hard times and maybe I do need some assistance. But I know that I have a skill and I'm going to try and go out and be able to get back up on my feet.
Why not have it both ways? Those who do feel secure can get from government, and those who don't can get a job and make for themselves. Why not everybody?
Because then you end up with the issue of, well, why do I have to work and he doesn't? Well, you don't
because
have
you
to
chose.
work. You chose to work. Yeah, but then this is where we get back to one of the things that whenever we have a discussion, it always comes down to I acknowledge that a lot of your policies are really good and a lot of your ideas are really good, and you really wish that people's feelings did not matter. But people's feelings, unfortunately, are what determine whether or not people get reelected.
Do what's right, not what's popular.
Well, and then, so it's not just what's popular. That's not what we're trying to give people. We're trying to give people a sense of security.
I'm not, and I don't think that's the government's job. That is psychological. Nobody can give anybody, you can't give somebody a sense of happiness that you do have a right to pursue. I cannot give you a sense of security. I can want you to. I can give you external stimuli that are supposed to embody in you a sense of security. I cannot give you the sense of security. That's on you.
I would agree with that, but I would still say that that's the goal behind it. That's the political goal, is to give the people a sense of security.
I think it should be to give them security. Now, whether they have the sense that security is or is not, I mean, security isn't, nobody promised security is luxury. Security is security.
Workhouses provide security, but they provide you food and housing, but they don't provide you any sense of well-being for life. And I really, as much as, yes, it doesn't seem like something that should have any role in policy and economics, but when your goal is to take care of the people, well, what taking care of the people really boils down to is making people feel like they're taken care of.
I disagree with that because, again, I have learned that my limits as a human being are I cannot inspire feelings in any other person.
Yeah, so you're not going to be able to guarantee it for everybody just by having all the programs. That yes, for half of the people, that's what they need for security. But the other half of the people don't, that's not what they need for security. What they need for security is the ability to feel like they can secure their own food.
Yes, so then that brings up the second thing that I heard before, which was you were talking about a feeling of shame and all that. That's societal. That's not governmental.
Well, difference between society and government, absolutely.
And as a society, we can damn well get our act together on that. We can start to say to people, I see your skills, I see your value. And I think that as a society, we don't do that enough. And that societally should help people feel more secure. Because you feel like a member of society when, and like a contributing member of society when somebody comes to you and says, you are exceptionally good at this. I need you in my life for this reason. I value you. I come to you for advice because you are, the person that I trust the most on this topic. then however much you're earning in your day job becomes less important because you've got a place. You're part of the tribe. You're in.
I would agree with that. Trump voters who, in the middle America, the reason they voted was because they used to have a skill that they could demand labor for. But that's not a marketable skill set.
I mean, they still do. They still do have that skill, and it still is valuable. I would like to see the citizenry socially, first of all, start to say, when I buy the 80-cent, plastic plate at Walmart, rather than the $2 ceramic plate from the farmer's market pottery stall, I'm paying for these people who have valuable skills to not be employed. I am paying for them to choose welfare. Maybe it's worth $2 for the ceramic plate. Maybe I feel that as a societal member who happens to have a $5 budget to buy a plate anyway, maybe it's worth it to me to pay a little bit more so that my whole tribe.
Responsible consumers.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, this is how horse herds work.
Yeah.
Horse herds work the same way. When they go out to look for food, they go out to look for enough food for the whole herd. It's not my flake of hay, it's our hay.
Mm-hmm.
It understands that its safety comes in numbers.
Mm-hmm. Individualism versus collectivism. Collectivism is not inherently bad, but we're just all for not having coerced collectivism.
And this is why I'm saying socially we need to. The government should not be forcing this. This is not government's job.
I agree.
Government should do the things that the people ask the government to do, and forced collectivism is not the government's job.
Social Security, great idea of a safety net made at the time when most people were dead by 65. 65 was like about the point where you'd plan to live to, so you were still expected to save up money to be able to live until 65. But dear God, if you just happen to live too long, it's okay, we got you, you're not going to die on the street.
Yeah, we don't do die of poor.
But then that's not then how it has developed to actually work in practice.
No, of course.
So this is no
Because
longer doing the
at
original
some
function.
point, people said, I'm going to try and game the system, which is...
Well, also, at some point, people said, I'm going to be 65. I know I'm going to live past 65, so I know I'm going to live enough to collect this. Like, that was part of it, is you don't know you're going to live to 65, so you would never plan on collecting
It's
Social
the gaming the system. Because, like, my mother is a baby boomer, and she has sat down with her financial planner, and Social Security has been in that financial plan this whole time.
Right. Shouldn't be.
It should not be. This is where the moral people, the societal people, the grandmothers and the grandfathers should have whipped out their canes and gone and smacked some young people on the legs and said, out of my way, sonny, that's not what we use this for.
Why would I not use something that I'm being forced to pay for anyways? If I'm going to be forced to pay for it, once we've gotten to the point where I know I'm going to live past 65, why would I not include something that I know that I am entitled to get after the age of 65 in my financial plan?
Because you're not entitled to it. That's not why you paid in. You paid in so that other people didn't die of poorness. It wasn't about you.
But that's not the way that it's received.
Right, and that's where some grandmothers didn't whack some sonnies on the legs and sit them down and have a conversation with them.
We don't have that conversation because
we
we
can
don't
have the conversation
choice.
about why it's not an optional thing, and that is because it once was an optional thing and assholes ruined it. It was because old people were dying of poorness, because there was not enough money for the old people. It just wasn't there. So it had to become coerced so that old people didn't die of poorness, because America was given two choices. They were given, we can be a country where people who are poor die of poorness, or we can be a country where that doesn't happen. And if we're going to be the country where that doesn't happen, which, by the way, everybody at the time back then decided that was an American value, then y'all got to put your damn money where your mouth is. And people were like, no, I don't put the money, no. And they were like, look, we can make you put your money where your mouth is, or you can say that, no, we don't mind people dying of poorness. And America was like,
oh yeah, people always want benefits without having to pay the taxes. Like,
yep, and that is why it became a thing. It is because people did not put their money where their mouth was. Now, if people are going to start voluntarily putting money where their mouth is, if I were in charge of the government, we can roll back on Social Security's mandatoriness. But I'm not just going to roll back on it and let old people die of poorness again.